The Bible is called the greatest story ever told. The greatest story, not the greatest collection of facts, not the most paramount document on earth, the greatest story ever told. It's a story. One must know how to read the symbols and the emblems and the terms. There are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
So now,
and I am not saying there's not good spirituality in the Bible. I am saying that it has been twisted and used by political powers for a political agenda to keep us ignorant, ill-informed, and unread, depending on the Lord to come back to help us, when in fact there is no Lord coming back to help us. Education, knowledge, and your own personal spirituality and investigation of what the story is really about. Do your homework. That's the only salvation we have left. I mean, did you know, for instance, that the book of Revelation was not written by Christians? The book of Revelation was around for at least 500 years before Christianity ever came into existence. The book of Revelation was already in circulation. No John ever wrote the book of Revelation. His name was Ion, I-O-N, from the Ionian Sea.
The Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man whom they call Christ in the place of the sun and pay him the same adoration which was originally paid to the sun.
Goes directly back to the old concept of God's Son, S-U-N, being the risen Savior, because the Son is the risen Savior. It does rise. And of course, God's Son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the Prince of Darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's Son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the Prince of Darkness. And his name was Set. And he came out at sunset. Okay? I'm saying there's not good spirituality in the Bible. I am saying that it has been twisted and used by political powers for a political agenda. We have a theology, and other people have a mythology. Other people are wrong because they don't share your concepts and your belief, and that's because they don't understand. They're wrong, but they don't understand. I am saying that we can all be wrong. There were 15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story. And I have come to the conclusion that there has never been on this earth a political movement that wasn't a little religious. And there's never been a religious movement in the history of the world that wasn't a little political. But the problem you run into with theology, and when you get into religion and theology, is that there are two kinds of facts that we have in theology. The kind you look up and the kind you make up. And so much of what we have been told and left to believe is true in theology and religion, especially in the Western world, is nothing more, in my opinion, than political propaganda. And I think this can be proven. But over and above the political aspect of Western religion, I am also fascinated, as this book brings out, it's just a general anthology on religion, just generally things which most people don't know about theology and religion that the church would rather you not know. For instance, I get into in particular the connection between astrotheology, which is the world's oldest religion. You can go back to 5,000 to 7,000 years before Christ, and the worship of the heavens what dominated the ancient world. As I said, I don't believe that there are too many people today in the Western civilization who have really looked at where religion came from, where our ideas and concepts have come from. Now, we don't mind, we are all aware of how other people can be wrong in what they believe, because other people, we have a theology, and other people have a mythology. Other people are wrong because they don't share your concepts and your belief, and that's because they don't understand. they're wrong, but they don't understand. I am saying that we can all be wrong. There's not one human creature on the earth that is so well informed that they cannot possibly be wrong on something. All I'm asking my audience to do is to look at the facts of where Western religion has come from and look at behind the scenes the connections between government and religion. Let me give you an example.
Okay, but even... All right.
Well, let me give you a quick example
Okay.
of just the point I made between tying government in with religion. When you go into most churches today, you will see the altar is 3 tiers high. It's 3 degrees high. It has, in most churches, they will have a fence with the gate, and only the priest can go through the gate or through the fence up until the altar. When the priest, the clergy, comes out, he's dressed in a long robe. Everyone stands out of respect. It's the same thing in any courtroom. You have the people of the congregation out here. You have the fence with the gate, and only the attorneys can go through and speak for you. And the bench is 3 tiers high. The 3 tiers high in the church and courtroom stand for the first 3 degrees of Freemasonry. When the judge comes out, he's dressed in a long black robe, just as the priest is dressed in a long black robe, just as you will be dressed in a long robe when you graduate from university or college. The connections are continual. The judge can sit and look down on you, for he represents the law, spelled L-A-W. You need to look at where the word law comes from. And then, of course, the priest can look down on the audience and the people in the church. He represents God, which is the law.
So you're saying that people should start looking at things with a different eye.
Yes.
Than what they, in other words, people just take it for granted. This has always been, and this is the way it is.
Absolutely.
But there is an origin for every one of these things.
Gerald Massey, one of the greatest Egyptologists that ever lived, wrote that they will find it difficult, those who have accepted the authority as truth rather than the truth as authority. Mm-hmm. And so I'm saying that that's what's happened to us as a civilization in the West. I'm not interested that much in the East tonight. Mm-hmm. I'm more interested in our Western way of life and the religion, the philosophies that guide our lives. The mere fact that in this country, in America, when you run afoul of the law, they say you have broke the law, just as Moses broke the law. And of course, the sheriff has a 6-pointed badge as the Star of David, or the 6-pointed hexagram. All of our judicial proceedings in court are based on the old common law of England, or Britannia. And incidentally, Britain is Britain, or British. And Brit in Hebrew is a contract or a covenant. And the word ish means man or men. Therefore, the word British is the covenant men, or men of the covenant.
Okay.
It's a fascinating story when we understand that our government is based on religion, and we didn't even know it. And I'm saying, wake up, do your homework.
Okay. You have such a vast amount of information that I have to try and hold you back a minute, because I want to get into more things.
Okay.
I want to say some things here.
Okay.
For one thing, first, let me say this. How would you classify yourself? I mean, are you religious, or are you spiritual? Are you what somebody would say agnostic? I mean, what are you?
I'm a common man, an ordinary man, in the pursuit of an extraordinary subject. I consider myself to be one who appreciates and will fight for truth.
You are a truth seeker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the best way to term it. I am an extremely spiritual person in that I hold very, very high spiritual morals, ethics. I believe in a very powerful spiritual force that dominates and overshadows the world. Christians call it God. Others may call it something else, but I have a very high respect for spirituality. I have no time for religion as such. Anything that is organized by man quite certainly is not touching God. I think that we have a direct connection with our Creator, with that great spiritual God force in the universe. We don't need another man to intervene for us.
Okay, so then would you say that, let's say somebody might say, well, how dare you question the Bible? I mean, how dare you write a book like this? You must be a demon or something.
Mm-hmm.
How would you answer that?
I would say the same thing has been said of Solomon Rushdie. How dare you question the Quran? How dare you question the Karl Marx in the Communist Manifesto, or Mao and the Little Red Book of Mao? How dare you question authority? I'm saying that the man that we read about in the New Testament, the one called Jesus, if he taught us nothing, it was to question authority. Because anytime you give away your spirituality and your authority, and you do it yourself, you know, no one comes and puts your hand behind your back and forces you to give up your spirituality and your individual freedom and your right to be a human being and decide for yourself. You do that yourself. And when you do that and you give up your sovereignty to the government, to the church, to a religion, to a book, to a concept, to anything, you are enslaving yourself. All I'm asking the public to do is do a little research. See if what I'm saying is wrong, and judge for yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm not advocating. I'm not running for a political position. I'm not trying to start my own church. What I would like to see done as a spiritual revolution in this country, where people say, just say no. Just say no to organized religion. Just say no to organized government. Just say no to tyranny. I don't care where it is and what color it is. Bigotry, ignorance, ill-informed stupidity. Just say no. From here on out, the point I'm making is that you need to do your homework. You need to study and find out where things came from.
But what happens? What happens when they do find out? What happens to those who their whole life has been the Bible? There's so many people who have, the Bible is what keeps them going every day. What will they have to replace it?
Ask the Russians in Russia today. Ask the Russians in Russia today, what is it like when you find out that you've been hoodwinked, that your government was not the most powerful and most wonderful government on earth, and now it has totally collapsed? Now what are you going to do? You trusted, you brought up your children, you wasted your entire life, and you went along to get along. And now what happens? Your whole world is collapsing around you. And why? Because you didn't do your homework and you didn't stand up for what was right when you could have. You went along to get along. Because it was comfortable at the time, and now it's very uncomfortable. And I'm saying that that's what we all have to do, is look at the uncomfortable facts, that nothing is permanently on this earth.
That nothing is permanently on this earth.
No.
Let's see. They have here Bible models, Bible morality. They have here, who was Jehovah? And this is Thomas Jefferson who wrote this. Who was Jehovah? A being of terrific character, cruel, vindictive, capricious, and unjust. Then also, who was Abraham? An insane, barbarian patriarch who married his sister, denied his wife. Who was Jacob? Another patriarch who won God's love by deceiving his father, cheating his uncle, robbing his brother. This is Bible morality.
Now understand, I didn't write that. Other authors are in the book.
Okay.
But the point I wish to make, one does not need to even read the book.
Okay.
One can all just read the Bible and read and put flesh on the things which happen in the Bible.
Well, this is in the Bible.
Of course it is.
This is in the Bible.
Are you aware that there were 15? Now let me ask you something. Are you aware that there were 15 other major religions? This is history now.
Okay.
Not conjecture, history. There were 15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. That's the way I am as a teacher and as a researcher and a writer. I become rather suspect, and I tell you something else I'm very suspect, and that is the connection between government and politics today in America. I think both should be investigated. And that's what this book attempts to do. Look behind the scenes of both our authorities in the world, religion, politics, and money.
So when that happens, people will actually have almost a renaissance of themselves.
Let us hope so.
And a whole new type of person can come about.
I think you will agree that that's what we need. Our country is in trouble. Our families are in trouble. Our whole human race is in trouble. And basically we can boil it down to three problems we all share on this earth in common: religion, politics, and money. And I'm telling you the three are not separate, they are all one, because in the ancient world the king always represented not only temporal power but also heavenly power. He was the connection between the people and God. That is why today we have you cannot get married in this country today in America. We are told that there is a division between church and state. No such division exists. If you want to start a church, you must get a 501c3 permit from the government. You must get permits. You must pay the fees. You must do all of these legal things, the red tape of government, before you can set up a church. Now, once you've set up the church with all the government's permission and permits, you cannot get married in this country unless you have a marriage license first. Then you can go to the minister and be married. And if your marriage doesn't work out, you don't go to God. You go to a judge in the courtroom. I'm telling you, there's something going on here between religion and politics, and it's money. It's power. And until such time as we're willing to look at what's been going on in this country for over 200 years and be open-minded, because your brain, your mind is like a parachute. It don't work if it's not open. I'm telling you, we can be exploited if we're not willing to open our minds, open our hearts, and say, let's look at the facts. Because the fact is, all over the world, people are being led by religious leaders. Ayatollah Khomeini and Saddam Hussein are just two of many people. And in this country, we put things on the back of our car, support our troops in the Middle East. You don't even know what they were doing in the Middle East.
Do you think that has something to do
with politics?
Okay, religion and politics. Do you think that has something to do with this, what we call this new world order, this global unification?
That you can bet on.
You do?
I think that I can make a very good case of that in a court of law if given an opportunity. If you look at the symbols on the back of the $1 bill, the pyramid on the back of the $1 bill, above the pyramid on the back of a $1 bill, look at it. You'll see an annuit coeptus. Annuit coeptus in Latin means our enterprise is now a success, or our project is now a success. Look at the wording on the banner beneath the pyramid, Novas Ordo Seclorum. Novas Ordo Seclorum is new order of the world, the new world order. Why is an Egyptian pyramid on an American dollar bill? Are you aware of the symbolism going on here, like the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C.? You know what the Washington Monument stands for? It stands for the male erection. And it connects right down the waters of life to the Oval Office. The Oval is the female, the Washington Monument is the male. It has to do with religion, it has to do with sex, it has to do with political power. And we take these instruments and we take these symbols and we think they're so marvelous. Do your homework and you'll find out that so much of what we consider to be holy and righteous is in fact nothing more than sex, religion, and money. And most people pretty well know that. But no one has actually bothered to confront the establishment. I hope to do that. I want to confront the establishment for the one reason I think that the truth is an idea whose time has come. I think we've all been manipulated and exploited, and it's time we look at the real truth.
Yes, well, I think that a lot of people are somewhat working around in a daze. So many things are happening. They don't know where to turn.
Absolutely.
And they I think that many of them, they don't really feel very happy with what they're receiving in church when they do go to church. You know, they feel something is wrong.
It's because something is wrong. It's not true. The things which we have been told are not true. You can prove this in any good library. All one has to do is do something you've never done before. Go to a library and spend all day reading theology, and you will find the world has known for thousands of years that these stories are nothing more than stories.
Now,
as a matter of fact, Rita, the Bible is called the greatest story ever told. The greatest story, not the greatest collection of facts, not the most paramount document on earth, the greatest story ever told. It's a story. One must know how to read the symbols and the emblems and the terms. And that is why
the symbols in the Bible
symbols
too
are in the Bible everywhere. I mean, did you know, for instance, that the book of Revelation was not written by Christians? The book of Revelation was around for at least 500 years before Christianity ever came into existence. The book of Revelation was already in circulation. No John ever wrote the book of Revelation. His name was Ion, I-O-N, from the Ionian Sea. And when in Latin, when you change I's to J, it becomes J-O-N. But in the English, it becomes J-O-H-N. So that today we're told that John wrote the book of Revelation. No such John ever wrote the book of Revelation. It was written 500 years before Christ was ever born.
Oh, this is just, you know, it's earth-shaking.
Wait till the real truth comes out about religion and politics in America, and you're going to see the earth shake.
Are you ready for the tomatoes? Are you ready to duck?
I've already gotten it many times.
Okay. Now, in the book your church doesn't want you to read, you have an article, Astrotheology.
Yes.
Right?
I co-edited the book with Tim Leadham. He was our editor, Tim Leadham.
Okay.
He's the editor of the book, and I helped him co-edit it. But I also did a chapter on astrotheology.
Astrotheology, and I wanted to say also Steve Allen.
Yeah,
also wrote.
Steve Allen is a very brilliant
too.
writer, and he is a part of our book.
Now, you have now we opened up the show with Thomas Paine, discussion by him, but you must like Thomas Paine because you also have him on here.
Absolutely incredible man.
Okay, he wrote, the Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man whom they call Christ in the place of the sun and pay him the same adoration which was originally paid to the sun. Why did you select Thomas Paine, and tell me more about this astrotheology?
Well, because that is a classic comment about astrotheology. Astrotheology is the basis for all religion in the world, period.
What does astro mean?
Theology. Theology is the worship of a religion, theology, and astro is the heavens, the worship of the heavens. From as far back in history as we can go, man has always worshipped the heavens. That's why we're even told in Western civilization that when you die, you'll go to heaven. And that, of course, the interesting point that Thomas Paine was making is the same one that I continue to make. That the whole concept of the Son, S-O-N, God's Son, goes directly back to the old concept of God's Son, S-U-N, being the risen Savior, because the Son is the risen Savior. It does rise. And, of course, God's Son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the Prince of Darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's Son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the Prince of Darkness. And his name was Set. And he came out at sunset. Okay? Today, even the Egyptians said that newborn son that came up every morning, his name was Horus. And they would come out in the temples of Karnak and the temple at Thebes and Heliopolis, Egypt. And when the sun would come up in the morning, as they still do in the Islamic faith, they would meet in the morning to greet the coming of the new sun. We do it in Easter. We have Easter sunrise services.
Horus.
Yes.
Horizon.
Horus rising. That's where we get the word horizon. I'm saying that there are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
So now, what
And
about...
I'm not saying there's not good spirituality in the Bible. I am saying that it has been twisted and used by political powers for a political agenda to keep us ignorant, ill-informed, and unread, depending on the Lord to come back to help us, when in fact there is no Lord coming back to help us. Education, knowledge, and your own personal spirituality and investigation of what the story is really about. Do your homework. That's the only salvation we have left.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on this channel. Thank you for watching.